Hello there, and welcome to yet another edition of Saturday Morning Mindfulness. My name is Brandon Everett. I am the founder and the teacher here at Be Mindful, and this is my weekly life class. The topic that came to mind when I was considering what to share today, the key insight is, it is so easy to overlook ourselves. It's so easy to overlook ourselves. And partly this is a function of how we're built, right? Our eyes look outward. Our hearing perceives what's beyond and outside us. And even if we give our attention to our thinking is often about how we can work with others, how we're going to relate with them. We could plan interactions, kind of like try to simulate what's going to happen later today. We could simulate what needs to happen in a month from now. But there's this sense of our attention is continuously either, even with our five senses, drawn out and away from ourselves into the environment and the experience around us. Or even if we're, TV's off, phones down, even if we're kind of with ourselves in a sense, our attention is with our thinking, and our thinking tends to project about like what's going to happen outside of ourselves, right? We kind of look ahead to interactions we might have in a given day, plans we have, am I going to make the timing on that or not? Is that going to go well or not? And we can actually live our entire life thinking about some other time. And a lot of people do this. We spend our whole life planning. And that planning is often bent toward, I won't say like appeasing other people, but we're trying to make sure that we're always in the best light with others. And we're trying to meet their needs. We want to be seen well. And there's a sense in which we can continually overlook our own actual needs in the moment, because we keep sacrificing what we need in the moment for what someone else might need of us later. And so what mindfulness makes possible is to begin to balance this relationship. Mindfulness practice itself is a training. Mindfulness is a training of attention. We practice bringing our attention to notice in the moment we're in, how does my body feel? Are there any emotions that are coming up or that want to come up? And kind of just being clear about like, what is on my mind this morning? So not only is mindfulness practice this kind of opportunity to pause, to kind of reattune your attention to yourself and what's going on in the moment. Mindfulness, when practiced over a period of time, turns into this kind of like natural scale, in the sense of we can tell when our attention is kind of imbalanced. We can feel, we can notice like, you know what, I feel like my attention is definitely tuned outwardly to other people in a way that isn't actually helping me. So we can kind of feel, even in the moment, if our attention is tipping and it's too attuned to the needs and focuses of other people versus our own. So over the long term, we can begin to kind of use our own attention to notice, am I too outwardly focused? Am I taking enough time and attention for myself? Likewise, if we feel like I'm the kind of person that ruminates a bunch, I'm constantly in my head, all I'm doing is becoming lost in thought, that actually becomes a cue of, wow, look at how tight and constricted and bound up and wound up I feel. Let me start to shift my attention to what's going on in my surroundings. Let me get out of my head and into my life. So this morning we're going to take the first tact, which is, I'm just going to start with the premise, not out of judgment for anything or anybody, but I'm just going to begin with the premise that you are a person who is frequently extending themselves outward to other people. You're constantly putting other people's needs first. And so what we're going to do this morning is just in the guided mindfulness practice now, I'm going to invite you to guide your attention to be with different aspects of your experience. I'm going to invite you to notice how your body feels in the moment. I'm then going to, after a few moments of that, I'll invite you to notice, are there any emotions that are either present now that we're kind of not fully aware of, but that need our attention? So is there any emotion that's present now that wants to be felt? Also, is there any emotion that hasn't had the opportunity, that has needed kind of like the permission to come up and be noticed? And then toward the end of the practice, we'll just check in and say, is there any thought that I'm like really kind of fixed on this morning? Or if there was one thing I really did want to take care of this morning, what would it be? All right, so let's check this guided mindfulness practice out. Let's you notice how you're doing. So to start the mindfulness practice, I'll just invite you, if you're not already, to sit in a kind of comfortable and yet upright posture. So if you're lying down, you could kind of maybe scooch up to a seated position. And I'd invite you to gently close your eyes. With our eyes closed, our awareness of the sensations within and throughout our body become more clear to us. So sitting comfortably, eyes closed, begin to move your attention within and throughout the body. Notice in the body where you already feel relaxed. Notice if your shoulders already feel soft. Notice if your breathing feels relaxed, easy, effortless. Notice if the belly already feels at ease, not constricted. And notice the shoulders and the arms. Our attention tends to fixate on tension, discomfort. It can be helpful to notice the extent to which the body is already relaxed. And now I'll invite you to pick any area of the body where you do feel tension, any area of the body where there feels like there's a kind of bracing or constriction or tension. Over the next few moments, see if just by noticing that tension, you could invite it to soften, to let go. The way our nervous system is wired, if you can feel tension, you can begin to soften it, like inviting a clenched fist to open. So whether you feel tension in the neck, the shoulders, the chest, or the belly, anywhere in the body. Again, we're noticing any tension, inviting it to soften, to let go. And now just noticing Noticing the extent to which the body feels more relaxed, more at ease, more open than it did even a few moments ago when you started this practice. Just check that out. All right, so having tended to the physical aspect of your being, I want to invite you to notice your emotional being. And so this is normally found along the areas of the throat, around the heart, or deep in the belly. You could inquire to yourself, is there an emotion that wants to be felt that I haven't had the time or opportunity to notice? So this is a bit like fishing. You put out the inquiry, is there an emotion that wants to be felt that I haven't had the time or opportunity to notice? And then rest your attention in the body and notice, does anything, any emotion begin to arise? And so here we're practicing allowing, we're inviting the emotion, whether it's joy or anger, whether it's excitement or anxiety, we're inviting it to be known. And we're not going to try to push it away. We're going to make space for it and invite it to be there. So see if anything comes up. Notice how the emotion shows up in your body. What sensations is it made of? Where in the body does it arrive? Notice if there's any kind of story tied to the emotion, especially if we're saying that it's good or bad or right or wrong to feel a certain way. How we feel is just how we feel. No need to judge. If you think the emotion feels positive to you, you could say, hey, you know what? Let me let this carry the beginning of my day here. Let me move from this good feeling. If it's a more difficult or challenging emotion, you could say to yourself, you know what? How about I take some time today to notice maybe why I'm feeling this way? To think about things I could do differently, relationships I could work with to work on this. So taking care of the body, noticing your emotions. I'm going to invite you now to guide your attention to that space in the mind where you experience thinking as happening. And to just inquire, what is the most important thing I want to approach today? Thinking is this incredible ability we all share in. To plan, to know, to work toward. But it's like inquiring, how do I want to use this incredible ability today? What's my goal? And then I'll invite you to slowly, gently open your eyes from this guided mindfulness practice. So this morning's practice was an offering, an opportunity to just notice the body, and if the body was tense, to take care of the body. This morning's practice was the opportunity to attune to your emotional being, that aspect, that part of ourselves where emotions tend to arise, to just be honest and clear about what's coming up for us, what we feel. And then finally, to touch in with that incredible faculty of thinking and planning that we have, but to work with it in a very simple way. One of the big underlying themes of mindfulness is simplify. So that last inquiry was like, hey, I have this incredible ability to think, to plan. If today I was going to pick just one thing I wanted to work on and give my attention to, what would that one thing be? So I hope that this guided mindfulness practice, for those that dropped in live, thank you so much for checking out this class, for spending your time here. I hope it was of benefit to you. If you liked this class, hit like, give it a share. That's how goodness grows. We spread the wealth. Otherwise, wherever you are, whenever you are, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I hope our paths cross again soon. Take care.